We need a game plan for how to master our emotions when the intense emotions are there. Ephesians 4:26. Be ye angry and sin not. Let the sun not go down upon your wrath. This lets us know that it's natural for us to feel the emotions. You will feel angry. You are not a bad person for feeling emotions, being angry, upset, ticked off, however you want to describe it. But where the break comes is when you allow that anger to affect your emotions, how you interact with people, and it becomes a negative thing from there. All right. Proverbs 31:26, specifically bringing it back to this femininity thing, right? She opened her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is the law of kindness, okay? So remember, when we talk about being a feminine woman, we always reference Proverbs 31, which goes into more details about women, all right? How we should uphold a standard. Goes into a little bit more details about being a wife for those of us who are wives, who desire to be wives. Or even if not, even if you just like, hey, I'm good by myself, I ain't interested, it's still okay to have those qualities, right? These are all positive things, so it's not going to take from you, even if it may not necessarily be your desire for a specific situation, all right? So, what happens? You're in the heat of the moment, you're feeling a little tense emotions. I don't know where y'all feel it. I always feel mine in my stomach first, and then I start getting hot, all right? You know, we know those cartoons where they have the smoke come out the ears. That's how I be feeling, except for a whole lot of twisting and turning in my stomach, and then some tension up here because I be trying to hold back my lips from saying what I want to say. All right? What do? Pause. Step 1, write it down. Pause. All right? If you take this pause, I told you guys last time, it will keep you from the reacting. We want to move away from reacting and move into responding with wisdom. And also, I'm about to go to the second one. Number 2, decide the outcome. All right. So when we pause, it allows us to decide, hey, what do I want out of this situation? What is my desired outcome? Am I in a situation and I just want peace? Am I in a situation where I just want the other person to shut up? Am I in a situation where this is an opening for me to be able to share how I feel about a certain situation and potentially grow in a relationship with a partner, significant other, friend, boss, employee, whatever it may be? So when do you pause? Take your three deep breaths and give yourself that 90 seconds. Remember that 90-second rule. Try your best not to go down the rabbit hole. It's going to be hard, especially when that initial emotion hits. You're going to be, I know they didn't. Try your best to not let your mind go within that first 90 seconds, okay? 3 deep breaths. You really being able to take 90 seconds and pause, that may or may not be able to happen. But the more we exercise this, the easier it should become. The more aware we are of our own action, of our own emotions, and being able to catch those reactions, the easier it will be, right? So hopefully, through some practice, maybe we don't need 90 seconds. Maybe we can do 20 seconds and then respond. But if you can, giving yourself that 90 seconds. This moment disrupts your knee-jerk reactions and recenters you. You are not your emotions. You are only experiencing them. So for me, letting that run through my head kind of helps. Hey, I'm experiencing something right now. I feel this kind of way, but this is part of the human experience. The more I can separate it in my head, makes me less likely from what did we talk about last time? Flipping the table, right? Going back down to number 2, deciding the outcome. What do I want from this situation? Do I want a resolution? Do I want a boundary? Do I want to be heard? Okay? Because those things matter and make a difference for how we respond. I'll give you an example. If I'm talking to somebody and I just really just want them to stop talking. I just really want them to be quiet, right? That's what I want out of the situation. That is my desired outcome out of the situation. Me saying, oh my gosh, could you shut up? Do you think that that's going to make that person stop talking? I know it would make me stop talking. Even if I was about to, previous Kiki, not the one now, not the feminine fit Kiki, but previous Kiki. If you told me, oh my God, could you just shut up? Oh no, now I gotta keep talking. I was about to stop, but now I gotta keep talking because did you really just say that to me, right? So making sure that our responses are conducive to the desired outcome that we want. Also, when you take this pause and you're deciding your desired outcome, put this as a note under your number 2. Peep the scene. Okay? Peep the scene. Where are you? Who else is around? What is the other person doing? Is the other person trying to get you upset? Are they trying to get a rise out of you? Because all of these make a difference in how we move forward with this situation. We might really say, okay, this is the time that I need to set a boundary, then I need to talk to this person, right? Let's say, for example, if it's our significant other. In your head, you're like, okay, my desired outcome is I need to set a boundary right here because they're not getting it. Well, if you're out in public, it might not be the best time to have that conversation. It may not be the best time to set that boundary. Let's say if you're in front of, spouse, significant other, and you're out with their friends. Setting that boundary right there in front of people, it may give you the opposite effect of what you want because now it becomes humiliation, embarrassment, okay? Checking out the other person. Is the person trying to get me upset? Or do they even know that they have offended me, right? Because people may be just saying something, doing something. They may have hurt your feelings, ticked you off, and they might not even be aware. They might not even be what they were trying to do. So all of those things are things to consider and allow to go through your head during that pause, okay? So with that being said, we're going to step 3. You decided the outcome. Discerning if the conversation is worth having. Is this conversation worth having? Sometimes you talking or interacting with people that it's just like, it's no point. It's no point. It's no point in trying to explain. There's no point in trying to talk, right? Now, let's make sure when we say, if we get to a point and we're saying there's no point, let's make sure that isn't our emotions speaking, but is actually real in the situation, right? Because a lot of times our emotions can come in there and you're like, you know what, I'm done. Like, it's no point in talking to you. But in reality, that's not what we really want. In reality, we want understanding. We want communication. We want, big hearts and butterflies at the end, right? Is that going to happen? Maybe, maybe not. But making sure that we aren't spewing out words, right? And it's not actually what we want, okay? Sometimes you may have to take a step aside and pray. Like, okay, what do I need in this situation? I believe Akia was talking about this last time. Like, I don't know what I want my desired outcome to be. So maybe that means, hey, what are we having a conversation for? I don't know what I want. So politely saying, hey, I would like to talk to you about this, but if you can just give me 30 minutes, if you can give me an hour, if you can give me a day, and let's come back to this. I just need a second to process my thoughts. This doesn't mean giving somebody the silent treatment and just be like, I'm not, just walking off, right? Communicate effectively, because if it was vice versa, we want somebody to communicate effectively with us. If they told us that they needed a day, I would probably be like freaking out a little bit on the inside because I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I want to talk about it right now. We can't wait. What do you mean? But the communication definitely helps. All right. So, hey, I can't right now. I just need a second, if that is the case. And then if it's somebody that's trying to trigger you, they're trying to, they want you to be upset. They want you to be mad. Oh, now you gotta pull out the feminine fit energy for real now. Are you trying to get me out of character? Oh my goodness. Are you upset? That was me being extra. Sometimes I done did that a couple times. This is a little bit petty, but don't do that. But realizing sometimes we're in situations where people, for whatever reason, it could be, maybe they hating, maybe they have talked bad about you, and now they're trying to prove or validate within their own head why they have been saying it. Or sometimes people, they don't even realize that they're doing it. Sometimes there are people that just simply have not been doing the work that you have been doing. They have not been intentional about trying to better themselves, or maybe they have. Maybe they're just not there yet, right? So this is also an opportunity for us to exercise compassion and the love of God, right? So we can set clear boundaries and demand respect without, going off snapping, right? So that was number 3. Now, going into step 4, if you get there. Step forward, delivering your message with feminine composure. If this is a situation where you are laying out some boundaries, okay, if this is a situation where you're like, hey, there's a conversation that needs to be had, making sure that it is not coming from a place of, oh, I gotta prove a point, I gotta check you, I gotta get you together because how dare you, but coming from a place of, hey, whatever this desired outcome that you came up with in step 2, that it is getting you there, all right? And using a calm tone, okay, making sure that your body language isn't doing something that telling a different story, right? So like, let's say if I'll give you an example. If you're like, okay, I just want peace. I want peace, but this can't happen. If you were doing like this and you like, well, listen, I just want peace. I just want peace. Your tone, your hands, your face, your energy is saying the complete opposite of what is coming out of your mouth. And I don't know if y'all a little bit like me or not, but if somebody got too much hands going on, like, it's a little bit triggering, you start short circuiting a little bit. So being aware of what your body is doing and making sure that your body is reflective of what you actually want the outcome to be, not reflective of that intense emotion of anger, frustration, irritation, sadness that you may be experiencing at that moment. Maybe you have to go in and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna hold myself like this. It might take some time. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm gonna put my hands together and I'm gonna put it in between my lap so that I don't start talking like this, right? And it also is an opportunity for you to be aware of, what do I do when I'm experiencing these emotions? Do I start talking with my hands? Does my head start doing like this? Do my eyebrows go up, right? A lot of times we're not even aware, and that's something for me that I'm like, wait, I was calm, my voice was calm, I was very intentional about what I said, but them eyebrows be giving it away. I'm like, okay, so being aware, because I'm like, wait, I didn't even say nothing. I'm over here going through my feminine and emotional intelligence steps, but them eyebrows, the eyes, the facial expressions is telling a different story. And no, you said my face needs deliverance bad. And no, it's not expecting you to be emotionless and to not feel anything, right? It's just bringing the awareness to you so that you can better get to your outcomes. If you want peace, I want you to have peace. Now, if you want to turn up a little bit just because it makes you feel good, you got to figure that one out on your own. I can't encourage that behavior. Not saying that I haven't experienced once or twice, maybe even, but ultimately trying to keep the positiveness as we go through our situations, experiences in life, right? Making sure that you are speaking in complete thoughts, right? A lot of times when we are in an emotional state, we're just talking. We're like, what we're saying isn't even making sense. It might be making sense to the story that's happening in our head, but to the person that we're speaking to, right? The people who are around, our thought, what's in our head is not being translated, coming through our mouth in real words. So making sure, hey, I feel like this because I am experiencing this emotion because you made me feel this. When this happened, this happened. One thing that's helped me is always speak facts, right? If you get into too much emotions and feelings, it'll make you dive deeper into things that may or may not even be there, but it'll also give the person too many loopholes. Oh, you're being too sensitive. Oh, you're doing this and that. Now, that's a whole different story, because sometimes you may be being too sensitive, and sometimes they may be them trying to deflect or play games with you to not hold accountability. But what I can say about that is you cannot control anybody else. Nope, you can't control anybody else. They may be wrong, they may be dead wrong. But even you telling them that they're wrong, what does that do? Because you can't control them. The only thing that you can do is control yourself. Make sure that you've articulated your boundaries, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. If there's a change that needs to be made, you have communicated that effectively. So after that, if you need to wash your hands of the situation or even the person, hey, you've done your part. You didn't react. You responded with wisdom. You were clear about what you needed to say, what you expected, any boundaries that you needed to make. You made sure that it was done in a decent setting. It wasn't in the place where it was out in public or in the middle of a important meeting or in front of somebody's friends, causing them humiliation or anything like that. You were communicating effectively, okay? And then, which I kind of already went to this one a little bit, step 5 is state facts, not fluff. State facts, not fluff. Now, emotions are real, but facts are clearer. Okay? So you saying, you know what, I'm just pissed off. Okay, what they got to do with me? You know? Hey, when this happened, when you said A, B, C, and D, that kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit. It made me feel some kind of way because when you do these actions, it makes me feel like I'm not valued or respected. And being that you're my friend or being that you're my partner, it makes me feel bad, or it hurts my feelings to not feel respected by you, especially when we are in a public setting. Right? A lot easier said than done, especially when those emotions are there. But the more awareness we have, right? The more awareness we have, the more that we can get in those situations and be like, ooh, pause. Right? The better we will get. Okay? Instead of saying, you're ignoring me, right? Say, I feel I don't get a response after I shared something that I was being in a very vulnerable state with you for. I feel like you're dismissing me. Okay? And last but definitely not least, close in peace. All right? You never want to leave something just open. Close in peace. Whether it leads to a resolution or separation, whether it needs to be continued, hey, we need to continue this conversation a little bit later. Make sure that you stay grounded and it's a peaceful interaction. When those emotions are high, especially on both parts, that seems almost impossible. But being aware of your emotions, your facial expressions, where you are, your own emotions can help you to stay grounded, okay? Exit the situation if you need to. If you need to, hey, this is getting heated, and I can feel that you're not being receptive of my attempts. You know what? Let's talk about this later. Don't be like, you're not listening. You know what? You're not listening, so I can't talk to you, right? End it in peace. End it in peace, even though it may be tempting, all right? A reminder. It's not about winning or being right. All right? It's about being in alignment with who you are and who you're becoming. So right now, if you were turn up queen, who are you becoming? But if you're actively working to be better, then it could be who you are right now too. Okay? All right. So, got some questions for you. Feel free to chime in and talk. If you are not in a position to talk right now, that's fine. You can comment in the group. Couple questions for you. What is one emotion that tends to take over in your tense moments? Okay. Another one. Of these 6 steps, which one do you feel like you have skipped over the most in heated interactions? Anybody have a response for either one of those? Anybody?
I do.
Okay.
So the question was, I'm gonna repeat. You said what emotion seems to take over when you're in a heated moment?
Yes,
Or
what is one emotion that tends to take over when you are in a tense moment? And then the other question is, of the 6 steps that we listed above, which one of those steps that you feel like you have missed the most?
I didn't see the 6 steps. I had my phone dropped off. But so the first one is, I tend to not. I want to listen to the other person, but sometimes I don't listen to gain a total understanding, and I respond too quickly while they're still talking. So I don't know what emotion that is. I guess it's when I know what they're not saying makes sense, or to me it doesn't make sense. I should listen to respond more first. I mean, listen to understand versus listen to respond more.
Yes, that's a huge one. That's a huge one, and I think we all have fallen into that at some point in time because we feel our emotions. What we feel is what we feel. And a lot of times we don't care what you feel because you hurt me, you piss me off, you're doing something that's messing up something. What are you thinking? And so a lot of times, even when somebody is speaking and they're sharing what they're feeling or what's going on, we're already like, no, 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 no. And we're waiting to express what we got to say.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so,
like, that's not true. No, what are you talking about? Yeah. So, yeah.
And there's a couple things that we've got to be aware of with that, especially when we're dealing with somebody that we genuinely care about, whether it be a spouse, significant other, a friend, mom, father, parents, or whoever it is, right? Kids, is let me show some compassion because maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there is something behind this. Maybe this person is reacting this way because they feel neglected. Maybe there's a hidden message behind the interaction. Maybe they I'm trying to think of an example. One that I talked about the last time is I have a thing where if you're leaving, even if you're just going to the store around the corner or whatever, like, tell me that you are leaving, right? So if you do it and I talk to you about it, to me it's like you just disregarding, like, I'm telling you something that's important to me and you just doing what you want to do. But maybe, just maybe, it's like, hey, we've been disconnected. Maybe the baby is here. There's a lot going on, and I didn't even think about it. We've been so disconnected all of this time. It completely slipped in my mind. We are 2 people in the house, moving as roommates. Like, we just both live in a space. Now, I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's just an example. It may be a deeper underlying something, but we'll always miss it if we are listening. While we should be listening, we're trying to think of our response instead of trying to hear what the person's heart is saying, right? So if somebody you care about, trying to be more intentional of being like, okay, what is this? What are they saying? What are their words saying? And then what is their heart saying? Maybe they're crying out for love, right? Maybe they're crying out because they're frustrated. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe it's a situation, hey, I'm trying my best to provide for you and, make sure that I am being the best that I can for you, and I just feel like I'm failing. Every time something happens, it just feels like I'm failing over and over and over again, right? Sometimes they may just be tripping, But we'll be surprised at what we can pick up if we take the time to listen and show compassion so that we can gain understanding versus just expressing how we feel, right? And particularly for people that we care about, because, if it's just random lady at the grocery store, girl, sir, which of course we still want to keep the feminine fit energy, but when it's people that we value, we want to make sure that we show them that they're valued by at least listening to what they have to say, right? And just a refresher, Kim, and for everybody, the steps, you're in a tense situation, the steps 1 through 6, which I might have a PDF for you guys to go back with this recording as well, in our feminine and fit group under your modules. But just a quick recap. Number 1, you're pausing. Number 2, you're deciding the outcome. Number 3, you're discerning if the conversation is even worth having. Number 4, you're delivering with feminine composure. Number 5, you are stating facts, not fluff. And number 6, you are ending with peace.